Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Moon Colony live stream. Although it's kind of not really a Moon Colony live stream today, it's more of a Lunar Forge stream, um, which is very fun and interesting. But today we've got Dan with us. Hello, Dan.
Hello,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. So today Dan is going to be doing some character art for us, or like taking us through the sort of character pipeline that that
Yeah,
that you're
yeah,
doing over at Lunar Forge. Um, but if you're not aware about what Lunar Forge is, then Lunar Forge is a indie studio that is powered by the great minds here at Moon Colony, with the goal of making some really beautiful and half handcrafted games, such as Project Glideout, which you can see behind me here and behind Dan. Um, this is a really nice piece of artwork we've got from Lunar Forge here, from Glideout. Um, and we have a trailer that has been shown before, but I will show it on the stream for those of you who might not have seen it. But Dan, do you want to do like a little introduction about yourself? Maybe I can do it for you if you like, but it might mean a bit more coming from you.
yeah. No,
Sure.
for sure. I can say a few words.
Yeah.
Uh, I I imagine there'll be more in the next couple of hours, so
Yeah.
better to get the voice working.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm Dan. Uh, I usually don't appear that much around. I like to lurk in the shadows, but I've been with Moon Colony for a while now. Um, and yeah, before I was working, in the main studio, just doing the usual stuff, um, illustration, art, and various things. And now I'm kind of transitioned more into the Lunar Forge,
Mhm.
trying to get this little project, on their legs and up and running. So yeah, that's gonna be that's been my last year, more or
Sure.
less. But yeah, I've always been working in the games industry,
Mhm.
um, as a concept artist, and now I'm taking a bit of a broader role, with dealing.
Sure.
Yeah, we like to joke around about how many hats I'm wearing at the same time, all the time,
Yeah.
uh, and it's hard to keep the headphones on sometimes. Um,
I can imagine.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we can like we'll probably touch on your background a little bit more later because it's quite interesting. At least
Mm.
I find it interesting. Um, but yeah, so a little bit about Glide Out before we get started. It's a 2D rhythm platformer with, as you can see, a bit of a gothic kind of skin put onto it, with a nice rich narrative to go along with it that's going to keep you hooked. Um, but now, yeah, if you're interested, we'll show you the trailer. I say some of you might have seen this before. It is on our website, and I think we posted about it in our Discord before. But it's a beautiful trailer, and it would be a shame to not show it to you. So uh, I will put that on now. And there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. As the trailer was going, I do need to say a correction. That's not necessarily a trailer. It's more of a proof of concept, as Dan said to me. He was like,
Yeah.
it's more of an internal thing. But I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Please let us know what you think. Uh, I love it. I think the visuals look great so far. The music, I saw a couple of people being like, the music's lovely. Um, yeah. So, how long has that been? How long has this been in the making for so far, Dan?
Ooh, um, all depends. We're working it in chunks, basically,
Hmm.
just to see, um, if the idea really works, and that's
Yeah.
basically kind of like why we did that video. We made that video
Hmm.
is just to see, if we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, more or less a year. The idea was in incubation for a bit of a
Sure.
longer time.
Yeah.
Um, it was started basically kind of like as a you know just a small personal project,
Yeah.
and then we have a small platform internally where we can pitch some ideas and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, we liked it. We said like let's try it, and now we're here, trying to make it happen.
Yeah. Trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, I love it. You know, every time there's more news about it, I'm there like eating it up. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you wanna take us through a little bit of what we're gonna do today? We can show off the Photoshop document that you've got now, if you like,
Yeah.
and see how it goes.
I want to say that the music is really like what makes us
Yeah.
excited all the time.
Yeah.
Every time we get a new piece of music, we're kind of we all get like, oh, this is why we're doing it.
Yeah, I can
Kind of like
imagine.
very, very happy all the time. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, today, so we're working on a set of enemies slash
Mhm.
obstacles for the demo. Um, and there's one that I left out. All the others are more or less kind of like ready
Mhm.
um, for a first iteration. So today I'm kind of like already prepared um, a few iterations on the theme, but
Mhm.
we're kind of like taking it through the different stages that I would take a character
Sure.
from just a rough concept through making the assets ready for animation, and then
Mhm.
if time is on our side, maybe making it jump or do a little animation, which is what I usually do to test um, if I made the asset properly, correctly.
Sure.
Just testing out all the different limbs and the range of motions.
Mhm.
So yeah, basically kind of like taking through the whole uh, process from
Sure.
beginning to end in a couple of hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do what we can.
Yeah.
We'll do what we can. 2 hours
Yeah.
sounds like a while, but it's
Yeah.
not a
So
lot
that's
of
why I had
time.
to come prepared a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
okay.
yeah.
So as we're going through, like I'm sure me and Dan will be chatting about some stuff, but if anyone in the chat has any questions at all, I know there's quite a few Moon Colony people who are in the chat, so you guys feel free to ask questions as well if you want. um, but yeah, if you have any questions for Dan about Lunar Forge, about Glideout, then feel free to ask them. Obviously, there's some things we probably can't talk about, but we'll see how it goes. We'll take it as it comes. So yeah, I'm happy to let you crack on, Dan. We've got quite a few messages coming through
Yeah.
already. Um, so
Well,
uh,
one thing that is usually crucial when it comes to this kind of work is
mm,
to have a bit of an idea. I mean, it's the same for any kind of characters, but for this type of game, it's always kind of like interesting how the creative process starts, and it comes down more or less to um, finding out what the rough mechanic of a character is,
mhm,
what's going to do, how is it going to behave, and try and kind of like convey as best as possible those kind of informations. And one of the critical things that that is the most difficult about this project is that because it's kind of like a endless runner type of game, you don't have the time to appreciate, to stand still and look at the enemies, understand what they're doing. So it should be fairly simple, both in design and the animation to convey what's the motion, and also like keep it simple in terms of the gameplay mechanics. And yeah, for example, this guy is not gonna do much. It's just basically gonna jump at the enemy, at the character, at the hero. Okay. And when it lands in front of you, you just basically have to dispatch of it with your trusty scythe.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, he jumps, he gets in front of you, and you have to kind of like hit it. It's not gonna die. It's just gonna tumble away.
He's gonna roll away. Yeah,
exactly. So all of this kind of stuff always comes down to finding a decent balance of all of these informations, and then translating it into gameplay and and into the design of the character. So basically, what I had here is just I started from a ball, literally a ball with legs, and kind of like go on a few different routes. Cute demons, covered enemies, more or less, or just like weird guys. I was thinking, oh, maybe it would be cool if we had like just a guy jumping on one leg.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people who are possible. There's a lot of people in the chat right now who are like, oh, I love the guy with one leg. Like, I can't imagine how's he gonna move, or like, maybe it's like Howl's Moving Castle where he's like hopping around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the idea, taking a few different ideas and seeing which one works the best.
Sure.
I'm not particularly attached to any of the designs, so we can maybe choose them together, which one to go for. I have a favorite, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, and a lot of this also comes down to kind of like give some information straight from the design. For example, I kind of already know that potentially something like this would probably send the wrong information, like, oh, it's too armored, you can't take him down or whatever. So it's we can save it for something else, and others are just a bit boring, even though I like the little flappy wings.
The wings are cute.
But yeah, we can save it for something else that maybe does a different type of jump, or flies away, or something different. It's always an iterative process, so you never discard an idea. 100%. So yeah, it's really nice to have a bit of a array of options to begin with.
Sure.
Yeah. So what I usually do, I start with with a grayscale sketch, very simple, nothing too complicated. We're working with lots of simple shapes, because again, you have to be able to read them quite easily, and then through a small process, you take away a lot of the designs, elements that might be too confusing. Again, pointing at this guy as my, oh, look at this failed design, but this guy's so confusing that it looks cool, but it's it's hard to read at a first glimpse. So yeah, I can try and kind of like go through a little bit.
Sure.
Some ideas, some I'm very how do you say it? It's always hard to begin. From something like this. I usually have lots of images, for example, of the background, just to kind of like balance out the colors.
Sure.
But usually, again, trying to keep everything in a range of is vibrant. You're going to be able to see it, and as long as you have like a neutral darkish background, it's going to be fine. To it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
That's what they tell me all the
Yeah.
time.
It's gonna be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's even at this stage, I try to keep everything fairly, simple. We're using a kind of style that is very, it's very blocky.
yeah.
So at this when I'm going over with line art and color later, um, it's gonna be slightly different. But at this stage, it's more about kind of like getting a decent vibe from just the combination of colors.
Sure. Yeah. I'm loving in the chat. People are like giving them. They're like giving them personalities. It's like people are like, C is like running on. He's on his way to the bathroom. Like he's
Oh
running to
yeah,
the bathroom.
but he has bathroom and
Yeah.
included in his design. He doesn't need one.
Yeah. It's true. He just uses his hat. E and F, they just didn't know what they were signing up for. They just E looks like he's not sure whether he can attack yet or not. He's like, can I do it
Can I
now?
go?
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy doesn't really has as a name yet. I just very boringly called him Demon. It's just a demon.
It's just a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea in general behind this guys is, and most of the enemies, let's say, of the game, is that there's been this kind of like I don't know if it's a broad concept, but the long night kind of idea.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
there's been this kind of like long night that fell over the land, and basically like all of these are variation of something that exists already, or just like they've been corrupted or something. So
Sure.
it's a bit of a just like a weird combination of different elements. And that's just the excuse that I give myself just to come up with like weird stuff, and not having to provide it's like any sort of it's just a weird corrupted thing.
Yeah. It's like this was
Oh,
a
yeah.
person once. I don't know. You don't know, like somewhere in there you can see it was a person at some point.
This is a raspberry that grew wings or something.
Oh, yeah, that'd be see, that's a good idea. It's
Yeah.
like a blueberry that's just
Yeah,
gotten
blueberry,
wings.
there you go.
Yeah. Katie said that B is giving messed up little horse.
Well, that's the thing, is missing the front part. It's just the back part that has been divided, and the front part is just somewhere else.
Somewhere, yeah, somewhere over there.
Weird horse with the snout. That's just the back part that is
Yeah.
a lot. So that's the fun part of it. It's just you give yourself a certain amount of restraint, but then you're kind of like free to explore. And the other fun thing about working with this kind of limitations is just to also think, for example, we're not going to have an unlimited amount of characters, for example.
Sure.
So let's say we have a forest and we have this kind of archetype of enemy. What's going to be the same in another area, because we have to reuse the same kind of logic and mechanics.
Sure.
So there's we had some quite fun iteration on the same ideas. Like one is just a basic barrel running at you, and then I don't know, in the town it's like a big wheel that fell off a wagon. I don't know, something like that. And some wild ones where it's like fairies in a bottle. That
I think it's fun when you get to do stuff like that. I mean, you look at games like Castlevania or something, for example, where there's so many enemies in that game, and it's very similar. They're like demons, right? But they're just random designs. Like I think one of them is literally just like a wheel that has come off a cart or something, and it has bat wings or whatever. But those
Like,
are
what was going on through their heads when they're,
yeah,
thinking about this stuff?
yeah.
Uh, that's just the fun of the setting, I guess.
That's the thing. I think that's why these sort of gothic kind of yeah, these gothic like long night uh, settings work really nicely, and they let you have a lot more freedom in design.
Yeah.
Um, but how do you like? Where do you start in coming up with like an art style? You know, because when Project Glideout started, obviously, as you say, it was sort of a personal project. So you're just like, okay, did you come up with? Did you know what style you wanted to do before you came up with the theme, or were they sort of in tandem? Or
Hmm. Um, I mean, I don't have a universal, uh,
yeah, of course, yeah,
reply,
yeah, of
but
course,
the way it worked for me, when it was my own personal thing, I was kind of going a bit more with what I'm more comfortable.
mm-hmm.
Weirdly enough, I'm not really comfortable with line art, and now this whole project is line art. So I kind of dug my own grave. Um, um, but yeah, so I was kind of working it in a more painterly style,
Mhm.
um, and when we kind of picked it up internally, we're like, oh, let's do different tests and
Sure.
tries. And I guess you get influenced by, I don't know, whatever you're playing at the moment, or games that you really like,
Yeah.
and all of those kind of like factor a bit into which direction you
Mhm.
pick.
Sure.
Um, and I can try and find a picture. Yeah, there we go. Um, and at some point, I was kind of like going for something a bit more. I was reading lots of Mike Mignola, I guess
Oh yeah.
that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try like a bit of line arty, very dark,
Mm.
edgy, moody
Yeah.
style. And that's kind of like when you add a little bit of color.
Mhm.
We kind of like this picture, and we're like, oh, that could work. Has some nice elements here and there, and it gives off the right vibe. So
Yeah.
basically, we start from this as kind of like a reference, so you get a lot of information. So, okay, it's going to be line art. It's going to have like some heavy shadows, um, and the treatment of colors. It's very clear. There's lots
Mm.
of different accents here and there. Um, and at that point it just takes a little bit, especially because I'm kind of like art wise working on it by myself right now,
Yeah.
so it's just a bit of trial and error, see what works, what
Mhm.
doesn't. And yeah, kind of like evolving a little bit the style until you reach a place that you kind of like. um, and at the same time, right now, for example, for enemy and the various designs, it's basically the first time I'm approaching these designs
Yeah.
specifically. So um, it's not just skeletons and barrels. It's actual creatures and stuff. So I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, what do they look like? How do you stylize them? And so
Yeah.
you do different tests, different tries, and
Sure.
making games from my past experience is all about just kind of like try one thing, see what works, and
Mhm.
iterate on it. So it's part of the process,
Yeah.
and knowing when to say like, okay, we kind of reached the place that we like. We can't iterate anymore,
Mhm.
otherwise we'll you know end up working on the same stuff forever.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. Um, we had a question from Bobby, who says, "Can you say more about Spine and what does the workflow look like with Spine into the game engine?" That something
oh,
that we can talk about like later, or is that something
I mean, we can
like
talk about it. I'm no
yeah,
expert.
yeah,
Use it in the past.
yeah,
So that's something that is always good to know
hmm
when you're approaching something like this, is to have as much knowledge, the broader a broader knowledge about various different things.
hmm
Um, so I have a little bit of Unity knowledge, a little bit of animation. I use Spine in like past projects.
sure,
Um, so you kind of combine a bit of everything. as long as there's one discipline that you're good at and comfortable with.
Sure.
But then you can kind of like explore different routes and so it's always good to have a little bit of that kind of knowledge in you. And yeah, well, at the moment, Spine is a software that we really like, and it's really used in the industry for animating everything that is 2D basically.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very versatile program. I don't want to say something stupid, but I'm pretty sure they'd all started from I don't know if you've ever played it, the Rayman Legends and
Yeah.
Origins games. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they were the first one to kind of like implement that kind of like style of animation,
Oh, interesting.
where you
Okay.
basically cut the characters in lots of different bits, and you have it's called interpolation, I think.
Yeah.
So you don't have to draw everything frame by frame.
Yeah. Yeah, interpolation. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and so yeah, basically, what we do is we prepare the assets, we chop them in pieces, which is always fun to say. And you have to kind of like keep in mind what's going to be used later in the animation, what parts are going to be in front or in the back, stuff like this. And if you have an animator, it will tell you how how it prefers to work, because everyone's slightly different. And yeah, then it's just a matter of kind of like analyzing the animations, discussing it with the developers, and figuring out who's going to do what, because a lot of the interaction can be solved directly in engine, for example.
Sure.
So it's a bit of a, like everything, a bit of trial and error.
Sure. Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error, back and forth, and communication is key, right? Yeah. But yeah, so you do obviously a lot of, if not all of, the artwork currently, but you have some help with the animation at the minute. I think you said at the start of like before the stream started, we were chatting, which is nice.
Yeah, no. At this point, I'm even for the video that you showed earlier, we had a couple of animators, and Bobby was one of them. Hi, Bobby.
Hi, Bobby.
And they did a fantastic job with the limited resources and time that we had, because it was a race against time to make that. We're really, really happy with what we ended up having, because it's something we can show around. But yeah, now we have a spine animator that is kind of helping us with doing all the remaining parts that we need, because the most important thing about spine is that it's really it's properly made for games. So you have a very easy way of just adding the animations into the software, the whatever engine, that you're using. It's streamlined for that.
I think Spine has a like a free trial, so if anybody watching does want to give it a try, take a go at animating some of your characters, then maybe download
it's always
the trial.
Good to have an extra skill.
True that. Yeah.
It's always good to have an extra skill.
Yeah. I mean, you never know when you might you never know when you might get uh, put onto a put onto a game and having to do a lot of it at the start
Yeah,
by yourself. So no, I love these characters though. They're so good.
yeah. I'm
And
trying to get used to talking and drawing. My brain is not equipped
uh,
for doing two
don't,
things at the
don't
same time. So
yeah, don't worry too much about it. I mean, a lot of the artists we get on, like their first few streams is like they finish it and they're like, I don't have a clue what just happened in the last 2 hours because they're like they're trying to focus on two different things. But you're doing a good job. Um,
thank you.
but yeah, what kind of so what kind of inspirations did you have when you were coming up with when you were coming up with the idea for Glide Out or even the aesthetic side of things? Like,
Yeah. Well, um, I think my favorite genre of games is 2D games, like 2D
mm,
platform um, games. Like Ori and similar things.
yeah,
Rayman Legends. Um, those are always those games that I'm really happy to go back and replay
yeah,
anytime. Um, so that's always been kind of like something that I wanted to do.
hmm
Um, and the original idea for when when I was working on the project on kind of like a little bit on my own,
yeah,
um, it was to be a simple summer project where it's kind of like the Google dinosaur game. So
yeah,
making
yeah,
something like that very simple,
mhm,
very straightforward. And then I think at some point we were like, what if it's a- you know, like a musical level instead
mhm,
of just like a plain um, boring kind of like you're running in a straight line.
yeah,
And the idea started to um, form a little bit, and
mhm,
and then you do a little bit of research. I always liked musical games, but
sure,
I'm not one of those guys that just uh, can get behind any game and be good at them, especially these
yeah,
kind of games. Um, so it's also trying to find that balance of like, okay, there's something that I have to make something that I would like to play myself first,
sure,
and then see if it's a good idea or
yeah,
something that is fun. And so I tried to play lots of rhythm games, see which ones could kind of like fit in um, what we're trying to do
yeah,
and what the vision kind of was at the time.
mhm,
And I found this really good game that I had no idea existed. Um, it's called Harmonite from, I think it's Game Freak,
uh,
potentially the same guys that made um,
let's
Pokemon
have
or
a quick
something
look.
similar in the same realm.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Harmo Knight.
Yeah,
Yeah, from Game Freak. Yeah.
that's a really, really good game. Um, and that basically kind of like served as a basic inspiration.
Mhm.
And then from there you kind of like find out all the niche and kind of like remote different games that you never heard of. You go into lots of deep tunnels,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you kind of like form a little bit of a plan. You have to write lots of documentation down to keep all the ideas and all the references, and then you can go down the visual aspect as well at the same time. I really
sure.
liked um, how's it called, um, Hades,
Yeah,
and that's where I got mostly uh, the visual inspiration. Um, and yeah, lots of other small things here and there.
mhm.
They blend together, and there's always your personal preference in terms of style and art that will always show up. You know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I remember thinking that the the art style was giving me kind of a hybrid of something like Hades with a bit more like Hollow Knight and
Yeah,
um, sort of mixing them together. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's interesting to hear that that was like the actual the inspiration for it, which is cool.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
The original character was basically the Hollow Knight at the
yeah,
beginning. It's just a black blob with a white face,
with a white face. Yeah,
a white mask, you know,
yeah,
and a big scythe. So I was like, yeah, no, we need to do something, you know, slightly different. And you know, these problems make you think about lots of different
mm,
things. Like, what's the character? Oh, it could be a puppet, you know, because I don't want to draw a a character with a face.
yeah.
Um,
You have
it's
to
always
do a
more
lot of
mysterious to
expressions.
have like a faceless character.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, it could be interesting. There's a
Hmm.
curse and other things. You know,
Yeah.
you start developing a bit of a story in your head,
Hmm.
and that's basically kind of like, I don't know if that's how it happens for everyone, but you know, sometimes for me it's just how things happen. Just sitting down and
Yeah.
you know, um, thinking of why things are that way.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Some people will approach games from a way of like, oh, I want to tell this story, and then they'll go out from there. Um, but I think it's cool to have like a character design, um, and then be like, okay, well, why is this character like this instead of having like um, a grander plot in mind or grander narrative in
Yeah,
mind. It's fun though. I like it.
I don't know if there's you know, a recipe for um, you know, for this kind of stuff. For me, it
Yeah,
all comes in terms of like it, it's almost like Tetris blocks.
yeah,
Um, so you know, you have one thing that you know will take you to a different, you know, place,
mm,
and you know, now you have to figure out the story. Now you have to figure out the
yeah.
reason why it looks like that. And chop this nose.
Oh
I
no,
didn't even realize.
awesome.
So now I've got a few designs. Um, oh, are you there? No way. And from what I think it could work, it's probably one of these.
Sure.
Uh,
Um, cool. So, are you happy for us to ask the people in the chat to see if they have a preference? Or
yeah, for sure.
cool. Yeah. So if you want to see one of these characters go through the rest of the pipeline, then let us know. I mean, there's the ones that Dan picked out a minute ago. There you go. Those four at the top. So if you have a preference of which one you'd like to see, then go ahead. I think I saw David in the chat earlier say that he liked the look of B. Um, but we'll give people a couple of minutes to get down what they want to see. Um, but yeah, while people are thinking about that, I just wanted to touch on. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think there is like a set recipe for making a game or like coming up with the design of a game or a story or anything.
Hmm.
It's kind of it's the end product really that matters. I know when I was at uni, there was like uh, when I was at uni, there was my lecturers were like, "No, this is how you have to do it. You have to think of mechanics first, then stories, then blah 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 blah." I was like, "Well, but what if you just, you know, what if you come up with a really fun character first? Like when me and my friends were in our final project, we came up with the idea of like, wouldn't it be fun if you played a game as two rubber ducks, and then we extrapolated from that and came up with like a whole like game based around like a whole like co-op game based around that, and it was great. And
Yeah,
like we ended up getting really good grades for it and some funding for it and stuff. Katie was part of that group actually, but yeah,
I'm not
it's
surprised.
yeah. Did she never tell you about Hatchapon? If she didn't, that's a crime.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh wow. She's either super ashamed or she's keeping things from me.
yeah, she's keeping secrets.
No,
Um,
I think the best recipe is always to have other people uh, with you to help. I know there's lots of people that like to work on their own, and you know, it's sometimes it's hard to
yeah,
kind of
of
like
course.
bounce ideas.
Yeah.
But I found the best all the time that I worked with a group. It
Hmm.
always was the best kind of combo because you're always working from and picking ideas and thoughts from your own kind of little drawer in your brain,
Yeah.
which is limited, and you never have, maybe you haven't played that one game that you know
Hmm.
someone else has played, and that happened a lot, especially with Katie. She's really, really helpful when
Yeah.
it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes she's like, oh, there's this thing from this game. Oh my god, how did I not think about it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean,
that's mine now.
Katie has a lot of knowledge, not only on like video games, but a lot of musical knowledge as well, which obviously for
Mhm.
a game like this is really really important to have, or really helpful to have. So um, yeah, the little team that you've got over there is doing great so far. Um,
Yeah,
it's
so it's really nice to like I said, to have other people
mm,
on board.
yeah,
It definitely helps the creativity, at least for me.
yeah.
I'm
Let's
having
see
to
if
look at the chat just to track down. That's why I'm putting down some
yeah,
marks.
that's what I was looking at. It's like there's a B and an F, which I think you might have already got down.
Yeah.
A G and a B, um, a and a D, but A is the favorite.
Hey,
Okay, interesting. Um,
hey,
B and
yeah,
D. Um,
got lots of people like this guy.
yeah, a lot of people like B. That's interesting.
Uh,
Uh, my vote was going to be D, but that would then make it a joint. That would then make it tied. So, so let's go with B, I think, and
Strategy.
we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Um, okay, you came back. What am I ashamed of? You haven't told Dan about Hatchapon, Katie. But yeah, Hatchapon. I need to play this. Yeah, well, there's there. I was going to say there's a version of it out there, but there isn't. I think I have it on my laptop. Um, but yeah. So, oh yeah,
That's something.
yeah.
See, that's why I'm very messy whenever I have to do this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Because I never work on the proper layer, so it becomes messy. And yet, at the end of the day, I always have uh, a notification on my phone an alarm that tells me just
Clean your
clean your
layers.
layers. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm wondering, because people like the ears, and I kind of like the idea of like floppy ears. I don't want to make it
Mm.
too cute, because you have to kill it in the end. I think that's the reason why I wouldn't go specifically for this one,
Yeah,
because it looks very cute and cuddly.
yeah,
There's ways to make it evil, but
mm,
would be here for.
yeah,
I want to start trying to do like a little bit of the asset part, but I think it's the ears that people like. So maybe we can kind of like
yeah,
include a bit of that.
yeah. I can imagine I can imagine him like curling up into a ball and just unrolling.
So
Yeah,
we can kind of like do a bit of a mush up of the two.
yeah, yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that
Dan's
would
playing
work.
Frankenstein right now. Yeah.
Yep, that's how it works. There we go. And I'm also very lazy, so I'm just gonna take this bit, put it here. It kind of looks like a Pokemon now.
Like,
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
kind of.
Or Digimon more. I think
Yeah,
more like a Digimon.
yeah. If I had to pick a Pokemon that it looked like, I would mm, maybe like Trapinch or something.
You're talking with someone that only saw like 2 episodes of the Pokemon and only played the very first one, so
Oh,
I
tragic,
am the
tragic.
worst
That's
nightmare
probably
for any
Yeah, that's probably for the
Pokemon enjoyer.
best. That's probably for the best there's been multiple streams where it's been like me and Antoine, and we've just like talked about Pokemon for 2 hours, and then
Oh,
and then the stream ends.
like nothing done, still on the
Yeah.
same.
Oh, yeah, Antoine's drawing something really cool, and we're just talking about something totally unrelated, just talking about Pokemon. It's like nice.
No, I'm
Um,
Team Digimon. I'm sorry.
See, I never
I
watched
think
much
it's the
Digimon.
superior one.
I never watched Digimon. I remember as a kid just being really confused at how like the evolutions worked, because it's like, how come at 1 minute it's like a really cool creature, and then the next minute it's like a fridge? I mean, what's going on?
You don't want to get into this discussion with me. We can go on literally forever. But I can also say, like, why are you making your Pokemon fight your battles, and you're basically enslaving this little cute creatures
Yeah.
to fight for you? And I always found that very confusing for me.
Yeah, that is weird. It gets even weirder when you're like, they also eat them. Like they eat
Oh God,
like
yes.
it's nuts. Anyway, yeah, this could go on for ages. Um, so Kathy says, now that you mention it, in Genshin Impact, you have the fishes that you fight, but because they're so cute, I always have problems to fight them. So yeah, when the enemy is cute, it's kind of hard. Yeah.
There we go. So you're too
Yeah.
cute. No,
Yeah.
go. No, I'm wondering if now this is kind of like a nice balance between the two. We give them the floppy ears. It's gonna be cute to animate.
Yeah,
It also has the evil eye.
I think it's the eye. Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
eye makes it. Um, the other guy looks just a bit grumpy, like you haven't given him snacks. Um,
See that
Lisa,
that 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 one kind of feels like it should belong with the character.
yeah,
It's kind of like
it could
a
be
side pet.
yeah, like his little pet. Yeah. Yeah, Lisa says, hi there, these critters look so nice. I love how it's clear they're bad guys while still being very friend shaped. See, it's it's difficult, isn't it? Some people like the bad guys being friend shaped, and
Hmm.
some people don't. But
I think I'll go with this one.
yeah, I
I'm
like that.
kind of
I like
happy
that
it
more.
has a bit of both.
Yeah.
Um, and for now, uh, he was my first pick at the beginning. I like, you can do lots of. See, that's the kind of stuff. It's like I see this and I was like, I almost would love to for it to have more screen time. It would be funny, if it was like looks around, is all scared, and then, becomes angry and bites you. But unfortunately, we
Yeah.
don't have the time to. Um, but I'm having a certain, I'm you always keep these ideas in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
One idea that I was having at some point was to kind of like have a room in your castle where you just have like, I don't know, maybe just a collection uh, of all the enemies. So they kind of like stand there and do the little emote.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
you can always, or maybe you have a book, with a description of all the
Hmm.
enemies and what they do.
Yeah.
So you never throw away this stuff. It's
Yeah.
always there.
Yeah. Like that reminds me of like one of the ideas that we had for Hatchapon. Well, I say one of the ideas, it was like the main mechanic. But you like you play as these like two rubber ducks, but you had a ranch, and
Okay.
the idea of like every level would be that you would have to take this egg that was, it looked like a gachapon machine, like the balls that you get in
Right.
gachapon
Okay.
machines, and
Yeah.
you'd take it to like the end of these puzzles, and then it would open it, and inside would be a creature that you would then unlock on your ranch, and so the whole game was you like filling
Oh,
up
that's
this
cool.
ranch.
I
Yeah.
like that.
um
Combines so many people that so many things that people get really addicted on.
yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
farm idea and
Yeah.
the gotcha mechanics.
Yeah. um yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. High plushy potential. Yeah, that's true. These creatures do have high plushy potential for sure.
So let's put it alongside some of the, yeah, yeah, I think it fits
Nice. Yeah, I think it
nicely in
fits.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also in terms of scale,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I suppose it's another thing. Yeah, you have to make sure that it's like in proportion to the character, like the player character as well.
Yeah, so it's all more or less. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Well, now that we have this guy and the right proportions, let's get rid of this. Where are you? There you are.
Is it butchering time?
We could potentially start butchering it and not have a clean. How much time do we have?
Just over an hour.
Because I could do some polishing, some line art, and some coloring, and then show a little bit of the how I usually set up the kind of like the animation pipeline a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so right now I'm just gonna do a quick. So basically what you have to keep in mind whenever you're preparing an asset like this is kind of like what are the range of motions that it's gonna do, and the kind of like animation that you need to do, so that you can kind of like think already of kind of like how to cut it.
Yeah.
So you're basically gonna have something like this. It's just the legs. Potentially the feet separate. Now you have the body.
I think Kathy earlier when we were talking about animating it, Kathy was like, yeah, you need to remember that these pieces will be moving, so you need to make sure that they're painted fully, like even the leg behind the body you need to paint a bit more than you would normally, just so when the body moves you're not it's not just detaching.
Probably gonna need a full eyeball. This part there, and I'm wondering I should do this separately.
As you said before, like when you're planning this stuff out, would that be when you then like talk to the animator and be like, how would you want this cut up? Like
usually something that the animator will kind of do, so that you know already which parts you can cut and which not. I have not really an idea how this hair connect, but I could potentially fake it a little bit and have this part being connected to the body.
That's what I was thinking. You have the the fringe connected to the body, and the
back.
That could be different.
Yeah. So if you have a rough idea, maybe the eyeball. That's stretching it. We're not going to do anything too complicated today.
Yeah, we'll stick with the time constraints we've got.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna try if I can remember how to press the keys on the keyboard. Just do a very simple line art for now. Just trying to keep those ideas, like those divisions, in mind.
Hi Bromilio, they said who's the character on the left? Oh, that character is the main character of our game. So for those of you who might not have been here at the start, then today Dan is taking us through sort of a shortened version of the sort of character pipeline for Project Glideout, which is a game that's being developed by Lunar Forge, who is the sort of indie game studio of Moon Colony. And Dan is the lead artist there, and the one doing a lot of the hard work currently, wearing a lot of hats, as you said earlier.
I'm the hat wearer.
Yeah.
How am I gonna cut this? Maybe like that. It's gonna be easy. Can go just behind.
I know for a lot of the artists at Moon Colony, they're kind of used to cutting up a lot of their like illustrations for like cinematics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's it's something that a lot of people don't really think about. if you're working on an illustration, it's not something you get to practice. So I can imagine like if going into a studio like Moon Colony and they're like, hey, we have a cinematic, need you to cut your illustration up into like 1,000 layers.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind all those weird restraints a lot of the time, but you get used to it. And I feel lots of people don't draw usually, in a single layer. Anyway,
course, yeah.
So it's usually quite not too bad.
Well, thank you, Bramilia, for the Twitch Prime subscription. It's much appreciated. Thank you. There's plenty more streams to come. It's quite a rare stream. This I was surprised when we arranged a glide out stream. I was like, this is gonna be fun. Jasmine, I downloaded Hatchapon. How? What? Where from? I didn't realize it was anywhere. Now I'm concerned. Oh no, you can download it. You can download it from you can download it from itch. Yeah. Oh. Okay, well, I'm not going to drop a link in the chat because that's embarrassing. So if you want it, you're going to have to find it.
Switch it more around.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally the eye that makes him more villainous, because when his eyes open, he's cute again.
That's very cute.
Yeah. He's like Mike Wazowski.
It is. I don't like how it's not. So the one thing that I really don't like about the how's it called? The brush that I decided to use is that you see how it gives different thicknesses, which is fine for a lot of stuff. It makes it gives a lot of dynamism. Is that the word?
Yeah, dynamicism.
To shapes, but then when it comes to circles, it's always a bit of a pain to get like a decent circle. It's always wobbly.
Yeah.
I'm never happy with them. So I'll see if I can get it at some point.
Could you not just simply use a different brush?
Not at this point.
It's too far.
No, I got used to it. And the other thing is, like, when you're doing this kind of stuff, you have to kind of like set some sort of how do you call it? Oh, my brain. It's not like producing the right word. Like not like standards, but
consistencies or like
consistency, like guidelines.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so everything is a bit consistent. All the characters have the same thickness. There we go.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh no, he's been shot in the eye.
Evil frowning. There we go. We save that for later. I'm doing it a bit, speeding up.
That's fine.
Usually I would give it a little bit more thought. but should be fine for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing about the brush is that I have to, like, if I want to have a consistent, like, not having the variation, I have to like turn the canvas a lot just
Yeah.
to avoid having, you know, the thick line on one side and then on the other.
Oh yeah, of course that makes sense. Yeah, you don't have to yeah, rotating the canvas obviously keeps the brush the same orientation. That makes a lot of sense. I didn't really think about that.
I know there's probably a solution, or, you know, a much smarter way of,
Hey,
of doing it.
if it works, it works.
Yeah.
You know, what's been your favorite part of the project so far?
Weirdly, I really enjoy a lot the doing all the game design,
Yeah.
And finding solutions, basically, to the,
Yeah.
you know, all the problems that kind of like show up whenever you're working on something like this. At some point we were struggling a little bit to kind of like to make sense of some sort of heat system.
Okay.
So how you calculate, you know, the value of the points that you're given, you know, how you're getting points and all,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of stuff. So you know, me and the game designer, we were just sitting down the whole afternoon, kind of like trying to figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's super fun when you do it. Love the process.
Yeah, that's something I always used to love. Like when I was doing my university projects, like we'd have the group project, or when I was working on Hatchpon, whatever, and yeah, I would just be sat with like the rest of the designers, and we'd be there just being like, okay, but this doesn't make any sense. Like, how can we like, how can we make this mechanic like make sense, or how can we
Yeah,
like this puzzle is too easy, so how can we like um how can we make it challenging but not super ridiculous, or
yeah,
make it feel rewarding enough.
yeah.
It's a lot of fun because you say you just get to sit down, like hunker down with someone for an afternoon and really just hash it out.
Just make your brain do
Yeah.
the, you know, what's supposed to be doing all the time.
Yeah.
It's really it's a really fun process, and it can give you lots of ideas that, you know, you never thought about
Yeah,
before,
definitely.
which is why I really like it.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be careful though. Like I remember there were times where we would spend hours like just
Overthinking.
yeah, like overthinking it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'd be sat there and you'd be like, but if we do this, then we have to change this, and we have to do that and this, and it's like, well, no, you just take a step back, okay? You're overthinking
Yeah.
this or overworking it. Um, or
Well,
we
sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was gonna say, or like we would sit there and we'd have so many ideas that we'd be like have a whiteboard just full of ideas, and then you'd step back and you'd be like, okay, we spent too long, like just
That's too much.
spitballing. Yeah, we spent way too long just spitballing ideas. Like there was one day I remember we were sat there and we changed the whole story of the game. We were like, oh, what if then this dragon came in and took all of the animals from the ranch, and then the final boss was like this big puzzle against this dragon, and blah 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 blah, and then our, our programmer was just like, he just got really annoyed at one point. It was like, guys, we were a team of like 5 people or like 4 people. It's not happening. Like step
Yeah.
back. You have to, yeah, the scope really is difficult.
That's the hardest part to kind of like nail down, because it's easy to kind of like let your ideas flow.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah,
No, oh, it would be cool to do this and that.
Mm.
That's something that we're very kind of like aware of.
Yeah.
Um, and the way I'm kind of like thinking the entire project is in big blocks, and depending on where we are in terms of during the whole process and what stage we are,
Hmm.
um, what can we do basically with what
Yeah.
we have. And so you kind of like always have a bit of a safe um, like a net basically that you can
Mhm.
fall back on and say,
Yeah.
okay, we have all of these pieces, they still click together,
Hmm.
even if we remove this one feature, for example.
Yeah.
I forget that.
Was it Kate said we were so good at that, by the way? We did it every game jam too in like the last 2 hours. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, it's okay. I feel like the game jams really helped us like focus up a little bit more though. But yeah, I think I think it's a good idea, yeah, to think of it in like stages. Be like, okay, we've got X, Y, Z. What can we do with that now? And if we have to scrap Y, then what can we do with, what can we still do with X and Z?
Yeah, that's why a lot of games just take a long time to make,
Hmm.
just because it's always a bit of a process,
Yeah,
and you never have the answers unless you try to a
yeah,
certain degree.
yeah, exactly. A lot of it, well, an insane amount of it is trial and error. Like
Yeah,
so much of it. That's something I learned, and it, like, I feel like you don't quite appreciate how much time it takes and how much like reworking you have to do until you actually
mm,
sit down and try and make something yourself.
yeah.
Um, and that's before you even get to like any kind of play testing or anything. It's like, yeah, it's crazy.
The important thing is to find the fun
Oh, for
and the
sure.
fun part, and that's kind of like why we wanted to do a little just visual test, just to see
Yeah,
if at least the part that we are more comfortable handling, so the visuals and animation and all that kind of stuff,
yeah,
um kind of clicked.
hmm,
um you know
yeah,
it's like you said, it's a bit of a trial and error
mm,
process,
yeah,
and then you have to do it and
yeah.
hope it works.
That's the thing. I think you can tell a lot as well from that test video. I think you can
Mm,
tell a lot from people's reactions to it. Obviously, they're not playing it, and playing it and watching it are two like kind of different things, but
yeah,
you can still tell a lot that people are looking forward to trying it. And that can say a lot about your project.
I agree. So I'm trying to figure out what
Yeah,
I'm
it's all right.
doing.
Yeah, it's okay. Focus on just yeah, focus on one thing at a time. It's all right. Falcone says, "What's the name of the main character of the game? Does he have a name yet?"
We call it the puppet right now,
Hmm.
so it's just a puppet.
Yeah.
There's lots of backstory. Well, not lots of, but in my head there is,
Yeah.
and it still needs to be decided. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, we still don't have an official name.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so this is gonna go. Just gonna quickly butcher this and see if my idea works.
Oh
So
yeah,
this,
because obviously, yeah, you have to take into account the fact the ears are gonna maybe move as well.
Yeah,
Man.
you can see the back. Yeah, I didn't think this through. We'll see when we get there.
That's when you just go, no, the hair's not moving.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
I remember you saying earlier that you don't feel like your line art is the strongest, or like you're not the most comfortable with your line art. Do you think doing this changed that, like, or do you still feel a bit
It's still within my style.
yeah.
So, I'm still kind of like working within my own limitations.
Mhm.
But, I would say that definitely made it more enjoyable,
Yeah.
if anything.
Yeah. When you're doing like a passion project, sometimes even the worst bits or the bits that you don't like can be still somewhat enjoyable at least.
You need to have fun at the end of the day. So,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
as long as you're doing that,
Mm.
you're on
Yeah.
the right track.
Yeah. I was saying in this stream yesterday with Flow, I was like, if you're not having fun doing it, then why are you doing it at all? So,
I know Flo has lots of like very strong opinions, which I agree with most of the time.
yeah.
But yeah, that's true. Um,
Yeah. Obviously, there's exceptions, but like,
the thing is, I feel like from the outside, a lot of the time, it gets lost the fact that this is still, a job.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Might not be the hardest job to do, um, but it's still, sometimes you can. It's fair to wake up and say like, oh God, what have
Yeah.
I done?
yeah.
You know, because I
Yeah.
feel like lots of people panic whenever they feel like that.
Hmm.
They're like, oh my God, I don't like to draw anymore. I was like, it's different when you draw for yourself. It's different than.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. There's a lot of artists, and I know there's some at Moon Colony now who just they're pretty happy just drawing for work now. So they're like,
Yeah,
I draw enough for my job. So in my free time, I just focus on other stuff.
yeah. That's more or less what animation is for me.
Mm,
Um, I'm not an expert. I'm, I've got, uh, and I think that that's why I enjoy it.
yeah.
It's a very weird um, way of thinking, but it's. I always say like because I'm not an expert, or you know, I I don't know what I have, what skills would I need to
Yeah.
develop in order to be really good.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's the part that makes me more frustrated about the art, and doing
Yeah.
art in the spare time is like, oh God, it's almost like a training, um, because you know what you would like to achieve,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
And with animation, I'm kind of like free from that,
Yeah.
uh, from those thoughts, and I'm like, I can just focus on doing something that I'm slightly, you know, I know that I don't have to excel in. That's
Hmm.
basically the thought.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice. There's a lot less pressure.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Kathy says they feel the same when they animate. Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's nice to have a hobby or a skill set, I suppose, where you can relax a lot more when you're doing it. Um, it's also cool when you see your drawing coming alive. Yeah, I can imagine. I can picture that.
I'm gonna take your suggestion and just do this. It's just because I just looked at the clock.
Yeah, time flies, honestly.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
is it already time?
Hmm.
So for now, we'll just do this. And I'm thinking of just butchering a little bit the colors.
Sure.
So I'm gonna try and do just this. Let me see how bad of an idea that is.
So you've obviously done a load of the shade. You've done a load of shading in black and white. Is that a particular reason, or is it just to separate the layers up?
You mean right now or just in general? Like the,
Yeah, now, yeah, or
I mean, like I said, I think it's just good for me to get an idea. It's mostly because while you're doing it, you have to kind of think a little bit ahead
yeah,
of, you know, what part is going to do what. And so basically it just helps to kind of like have a rough idea of,
sure.
okay, I can do this kind of stuff later, in the animation, or I won't be able to do that. Like the hair for now, you can just say like, oh, whatever. I'm not gonna animate them. I wish I could spend a little bit more time thinking also about the colors.
Yeah.
But it's fine for now. It's gonna be a bit simple and not super pretty.
I'm sure it'll look good. Yeah, so you're like talking about your background a little bit. So how long have you been doing art professionally?
God, I don't know an exact.
It doesn't have to be exact. It can be just
maybe roughly less than 10 years.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I think the first time I moved to the UK was 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like maybe 7-8 years.
Yeah.
In total.
Sure. And that was.
But I did do some indie stuff before.
Okay.
Which I think kind of helped with the whole, thinking of this project, and setting it up.
Yeah.
So that really helped a lot.
Yeah. I was going to say, because from what I know of your background, obviously was Sea of Thieves, right? It was at Rare.
Yeah. There's Sea of Thieves. I worked prior to that. I was up in Scotland working for some mobile games. Very boring stuff. But weirdly enough, I had lots of fun. Just looking back, what did I do?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this kind of work. You never know. You always expect the big studios to be the most fun, but then it can get a little bit, samey after a while, depending on what project you're working on.
Yeah.
And other things. When I was doing mobile games, there was lots of different iteration of ideas, and the turnaround was much more quicker, basically.
I can imagine.
We had like lots of different projects to work on.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to butcher this guy. I'm not the best at working full speed.
It's all right.
So we might not be able to do like a full animation.
That's okay. We'll just
Uh,
show what we can.
Yeah.
We can maybe do like another one in the future and show off a bit more of the animating side of it.
Yeah. Unless we're fine with like, let me see. Because I did do. Pardon me. Let me see.
If you need me to hide your screen at any point, then I can do that. Just saying.
Yeah. Where was it? Stream. Yeah, if you could hide it for
Sure. Give me a second.
like 2 seconds.
There we go. It's hidden. So let me know when you want it back.
Yes. That's just because I have to go in a few folders.
Yeah.
Voila, found it. Just because I like the idea of just doing a very simple animation very quickly, since we have like 20 minutes. I did prepare like a small thing. Let me see if I can.
Nice.
Have it. Yeah, it's the old boy.
The old boy.
Yeah. Let me see if I can just cut the. Okay, yeah, you can put it back on right now. Yeah.
There we go.
I'll just try a few things. Just get his ears. It's gonna be very crude. But actually, let me do this. We'll just basically do a very simplified version of what I was doing with the entire asset, and we'll just use this rough version.
Sure.
Just for reference where things goes. Voila. Voila, and then just right here. Okay. There we go. So now.
So how long would doing like one character like this normally take you? Obviously, if you weren't, if you weren't on a stream or going full pelt.
I think the biggest thing about today is just it's just the focus a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So I would be a little bit more focused on what I'm doing. But I would say, I could potentially, if I have already done the concepts, preparing the asset is not the most time consuming part of it. It usually just takes maybe, an afternoon. So you could do a couple of these in a day.
Yeah.
Quite easily.
Yeah, it's very different when you're on a stream to when you're like sat at home listening to music or something. Just in your own little bubble.
Yeah, but it's training. If there's more to come.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, because I did a few tests. I mean, I've been doing this kind of stuff for the whole week, so I was kind of like timing a bit myself. And I was like, oh, it's doable. I can do it. But then, you spend so much time rambling and not rambling. That's nice. But chatting.
Yeah. And there was some time at the start where we were talking about the project and stuff as well. So
yeah. So yeah, it's fine. So I'm just cleaning up this a little bit. So it's gonna be just a nasty version of the boy. Not the nasty, but the non-polished.
Sure.
But I want to see if I still remember how to animate a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be a good test.
Yeah.
If any of the current animators are watching, look away.
Yes, please. That's because then I lose all my credibility when I give feedback, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when we have an art director come on and they're painting something, they're like, oh, that didn't go very well. It's like no one's gonna take me seriously now. Oh no.
That's yeah. That's scary part. I'm doing this stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
oh god.
I can't remember who it was. There was one art director that came on. It might have been Alex P.
Yeah.
And I think at one point he like he was drawing something and he was like, "Oh no, so this this
Terrible.
this is not looking good for me as an art director."
That's every artist's nightmare.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's something like I say it's something that happens quite a lot. Like when we have an artist on that hasn't streamed before,
Yeah.
it's very much like there's a lot of pressure. I mean, I think it's a lot of the put on by themselves, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's
it's
the whole thing. Like we're not creatures able to do
yeah, yeah,
one thing at the same time.
yeah,
We artists,
yeah,
so
exactly.
you know, need a little bit of training doing that.
Mm.
Okay, this is cleaned up. Let's see. Oop. Yeah, that should work.
Yeah, that looks fine.
Okay. And now I can switch. Let me do this first and save it, of course. See, I'm losing it.
Mm-hmm.
Here. Voila. And now I'm gonna import it in Spine.
And so Spine just accepts like PSDs then.
Yeah, now it does. Before it didn't, so you had to save images like all
Oh,
the files individually.
each layer. Oh,
Yeah,
oh, that's grim.
so it was very, and then hand place it in the same, unless there was a way that I was, you know, unaware of. I was very not well optimized.
So
On the switch, let me see
yeah,
if we can do
Kathy
it.
in the chat just all caps. Now it does. I didn't know that. I was
Yeah.
doing it the old style. I want to die.
Can you pause 1 second again?
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to
There you go.
stream.
Yeah. Reject Spine, embrace Microsoft Office PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay, 1 second. Voila. Is it showing the correct one?
I can't see. Can I unhide it?
Yeah. Try.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should see the animations I made in high school in PowerPoint. It was incredible. Actually, maybe not. Maybe don't.
Oh, I did so many fun stuff with PowerPoint.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite thing at some point.
There we go.
You know, fiddling. So now I'm just going to do something very basic. There's lots of ways
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of set this up, but the main idea is just to kind of like you're creating some bones for
Yeah.
your character.
Mm. Yeah. So you've got like the bones and then the joints, right? Which are the bones, obviously the long bits. The joints are the little circular parts.
Correct. And then, of course, this is not very optimized for this kind of stuff. The the setup of the character, but you can do some fun stuff. So the powerful thing about the software that I really like is that you can. Oh my, there we go. Oh, I did it to the wrong leg. I didn't want to do the back leg. Go away. There we go. Yeah, so you can create like you can make out meshes out of a flat 2D image.
Yeah.
And what that will do is kind of like once you bind it to the bones, you will be able to automatically bend all the different shapes. I don't know if this is the correct way, but I tend to do it kind of like as if I'm thinking about it as a 3D model.
Yeah.
Just because in the past that gave me the best results. So you kind of like think of it as kind of like how a 3D surface kind of like would work.
Sure.
So it's a bit fiddly. Maybe it was a bit what do you say? I was being a bit too excited when I proposed, oh, maybe we can do a little animation. It's gonna be fun, and then it takes ages to just set it up. But yeah, I did a test earlier that kind of worked, and just to show a little bit. Oh no, that's awful. Now I'm gonna lose all my credibility.
You'll be fine. I won't say anything.
The fun part is then you can. Oh no, actually, I have to do something first. Blah blah blah. Let's see. Voila. So this way, it gives us the ability to do this.
Oh, nice.
And that also is constrained to the body. Oh. So the body controls whatever.
Yeah. It's got like inverse kinematics.
Yes.
Yeah.
This way, you can test a little bit how all the different things.
Yeah.
Oh, why is this not? Oh, I did not bind it. I forgot about that one. So this is going to be interesting. Bind. Let's do this.
Oh, is that how much it affects that area? Okay.
So that way you can kind of like decide how much, it stretches.
Oh, cool.
What controls what, basically.
Yeah.
So when you're doing like something like that, you can see like, oh, that's disgusting, but it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Like ideally, I would have the foot separated on a different level. But for this, it's fine.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then you basically do it a little bit for everything else. There's a nice trace option in the new version, so I'll just do that.
Ooh, cool. Kathy's like, oh, you don't do a mesh first? I didn't know it was okay without them. You're saving me a lot of time.
Again, don't take any of what I'm doing as a reference point. And the thing is, I learned a little bit how to use Spine before it was very used or very developed. It was really in alpha, so there's probably lots of like better ways to do all of this. I'm wondering if let's find it. Let's do this. probably lots of better ways to do this.
Hmm. Oh, that's crazy. Do you just pay for spine once? Is it just a one-time payment thing?
I believe so, yeah. 'Cause I had this
Damn.
since the very beginning.
That's rare nowadays. That's cool.
Yeah. Let's do that.
This looks like fun.
That's what I mean. Like sometimes in the weekends, I'm just playing around,
Yeah.
and it's just fun to use it.
Yeah. That's it. I suppose you have the added benefit of being able to draw your own character. So it's like, yeah, I'll just do what I want.
Yeah, but there's lots of like free. I think I never used them, but like
Free assets.
same in 3D. Yeah, you
Mm.
get lots of like pre-made rigs because there's people that just love to make rigs.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
when you create like all the structure.
Yeah. I looked into learning how to create how to rig models, but
There we go. So it does-
there's not very many like good accessible like resources on that. Like, I was looking more at 3D, but
Yeah,
rigging 2D models seems like it would be cool too. It's like a bit of a puzzle.
it's basically the same process,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Actually, let me do the trace so I can. Yeah.
Yeah, that trace is nice. That's a cool feature.
It's just because I don't want to deactivate lots of different
Yeah.
layers, and that way I can just. It tells me already. Let's do a 2-point. Ooh. Yeah. So whenever I'm doing this, I do kind of feel a bit like grandpa that is playing with the kid's toy.
Yeah.
But you know,
That's a good feeling though. That's
as long as you're having fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one time, but look at the price. I mean, the price is like $100, but it's reduced down to 69. Oh, that doesn't include meshes and other advanced features. Okay, well, maybe not. But
Maybe I was lucky when I got it.
yeah,
in,
maybe.
in alpha.
Yeah, maybe. You're looking at like nearly $400 now.
Yeah. But again, if you think about it,
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
if you're like,
you're not paying for updates, I think.
that would be pretty.
I mean, I
impressive.
didn't
Yeah,
have to pay for any updates. If you think how much you're spending for other software,
for sure. Yeah.
You know, it becomes a
Yeah.
heavy toll. And
Yeah. And at least it's only a one-time thing.
yeah.
Yeah, Kathy's like, I mean, I understand, but I'm from Argentina. 400 USD is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you know, if you use Photoshop, you're probably gonna spend the same amount.
Like a year.
Yeah.
More probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got leggies.
Cute.
Oh. Now we have to bind the main body.
Nice.
So probably that's gonna be mostly what we're gonna be able to do today. But you know,
yeah, that's okay. Say if people
start. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, like, if people have enjoyed the stream so far, then I can see about us maybe doing some more in the future. I think it's really interesting. I think it's a totally different side of the, like, a totally different side of being a professional artist that we haven't really seen before. I know it's not quite the same as like a lot of people's day to day, you know, but
yeah,
it's still
well,
something.
It's something I always say to, you know, because I did some the usual, you know, concept artists talks to schools and stuff like that in the past, and I get lots of people that have a lot of different passions, and they're always, you know, the usual concern is, oh, how much should I invest in this kind of stuff that I like. And you can't really always give an accurate
Yeah.
answer or like universal kind of
Mhm.
advice. But what always helped me in the past was to kind of like learn lots of different tools.
Yeah.
You get to a point where you can learn more.
Mhm.
At least for me, I'm looking at Unity these days, and I'm like, God, my brain
Yeah.
just can't take any
Yeah.
more information.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
But when you're starting and when you're kind of like developing, it's always good to have a bit of options,
Mm.
just for yourself, just to have fun. Um,
Yeah.
and when I started doing this stuff, I got a few indie games opportunities at the beginning, so you can do a little bit of everything. Not everyone has to land at Riot as their first job.
Oh,
You can
yeah,
start
for
with
sure. Yeah.
you know, different levels, and then you keep it in the back of your mind, of your brain. Maybe you have fun with it, and you never know when it's gonna, come in handy again. Um, and I
Yeah.
think that that's always a bit of a general advice that I like to give to people. It's always good to have some other skill other than just drawing, just so like even just for yourself you can have fun,
Yeah.
especially if you're feeling a lot of that pressure of like having to learn uh, lots of art related stuff,
Mm.
but you have that one thing that you don't feel bad if at the end of the day you haven't really made progresses, but you just have fun. It's like playing with clay.
Yeah.
um, and it could be whatever. It could be clay. You could
Could be
be
cool.
doing stuff
Yeah.
with clay.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just creating a very basic mesh for this, and
Sure.
I'll just do the gnarliest thing for this year. You're gonna be the unwanted child. That was
The ugly baby that
the ugly baby. There we go. 1 and 2, and that's gonna be it. Goodbye, sir. Oh shoot, I forgot
the
about
tail.
the tail.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be a mess. Let's see. Well, maybe not.
Oh, okay, yeah. The more I look at this, the more I understand it. So the color of the bone.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's cool. Yeah, the software seems nice. It seems like pretty straightforward, like pretty self-explanatory for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they added lots of features these days that are really, really handy. Just making sure I don't have any bleed in there. Maybe a tiny bit of this. I don't know. What do I know? Yeah, there we go. That breaks the whole thing. Good, but at least we have a little bit of
a little tail.
Yeah, this can stay where it is. Yeah, so this is the kind of like part where, the more anchor points you have, the better.
Yeah.
So you don't end up kind of like destroying the whole. Be gone.
I can see how having the main character be a puppet is a very it's a very helpful design choice.
No, that's just for the animation, so we can do some cute animation. But yeah,
Yeah.
that does help a little bit.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, oh man, that's a coincidence. Thank God.
Whee!
Oh, cute. I would spend way too much time doing that.
Ah,
Great.
see, and then you can go to bed and you're like, oh, look at what I've done.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Mom, can you put
so
this on
now,
the smart fridge?
shoo, shoo.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's so good. No, I would be doing exactly the same thing. I know that if I ever got this software, I would just, uh, I would be messing around with it constantly.
I forgot. It's okay. We'll do this. Yeah. So let's try and do a speedrun a jump in 5 minutes.
Okay. Uh, does it just use keyframe?
Yeah. So you have different. So before you had. Oh God, is there a way to? Yeah. Before this is the only thing you had
Hmm.
was this view,
Yeah.
which was hell. Um, and now you have graphs.
Oh,
And
nice.
graphs allow you to use curves and
Yeah.
all other. It's a bit neater in terms of just displaying the informations basically.
Yeah.
Um, and what curves do is take a straight path or a straight movement. You
Hmm.
can kind of like you have some parameters. Like for example, this one is God, I never remember the X
Yeah.
axis, and this is the Y axis. So you see it's flat because it's moving only
Hmm.
there. But if you do like a little bit of variations, it does like
Oh, cool.
and this kind of like um, it just kind of like tells you, oh, this is gonna go slow first and then
And then,
really fast.
yeah.
Kind of explain really simply and give you like a bit of
Hmm.
a smooth transition
Yeah.
basically.
Oh man, that changes everything. Every other time I've had to do like keyframe, it's been using like something similar to that older view,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's so annoying.
Sounds a chore. I mean, to
Yeah,
be fair, you don't start with the curves. Usually
mhm,
the best way is to do a block out, so you kind of like
yeah,
see a bit of. It's kind of like sketching. It's
mhm,
kind of like doing line art, but with animation. So you block out all the poses,
yeah.
and I can hear the screams of millions of animators right now. There's just begging me to stop. Um, but it is what it is.
It's okay. We've put the disclaimer out there already.
Yeah.
What Dan
Let's have
does
it.
is not gospel.
Let's just do like a very cheap. Whee.
Oh, cute. Yeah, I can tell that this is what they did for like this is what they used for Rayman. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah. In
Let's
all
go.
fairness, even though you may not be doing it, a way that a full-time animator would do it, you're making it look very easy, which is which has its own merits.
So just lots of different things that then you can do um, to kind of like suggest a bit the motion.
Hmm.
Like, let me keyframe it here. So you can make it start a bit like this. Let's do it here. And then let's do that. Then when it lands, does a little bit of these. Then it goes back to that.
Oh yeah,
Eee. So you add a little bit of that kind of like bounce and bit of nuance.
yeah.
You have like, ooh,
So much weight, his big brain.
that's correct. Then you can do. Let's see. Oh no, I can hear two cats fighting outside. I mean,
Are they yours? Do you have cats?
I do have cats, but I'm pretty sure it's too cold for them to go outside.
Yeah, it's getting to that time of year where it's like, no, thank you.
I've been cozying up on the sofa
Hmm.
all day.
Yeah.
Oi. Can add a bit of stretchy. Let's try. Let's see how much we can distort this guy.
Yeah. See how messed up we can make him.
There we go. That's the fix it button. Yeah. This is very
Nice.
rough, very basic.
Yeah,
You know, it's just to have a little bit of fun.
it's nice to see. It's really cool. So I would like be messing around with this for ages. I don't think I would get anything done.
Just because like the fun part about um I don't know about animation is just like thinking about all the weights and all the different
Yeah.
like, oh, what happens when um, when something moves, and it makes you like observe a little bit.
Mm. Yeah, it's like if this thing moves, then what is like then what else moves in turn? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and creating that kind of like balance a little bit of
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Of course, like I said, this is like trying to make a proper animation
Like 10
in
minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you would probably offset this a little bit. Oh, this is a neat. Is it this one? I don't remember. Yeah, look at that. Boom. You wish you had that. I don't remember your name, but you can just like easily offset a little bit the
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
frames. So they don't move at the same time, the ears. You have
Yeah,
a little bit of like, you know.
like tiny delay. That's really cool. Yeah, it's nice you can do like a general jump and then come through and change bits, like change individual limbs
Yeah.
as you go through. That's nice. You don't have to think of everything all at once.
Oh, what have I done?
It's like just did a big old loop
Oh,
at the
I copied all of it. Whee. Yeah, so like for example, this doesn't work. And this is why it's important to kind of like block out all
end.
the parts at the beginning, just so you know, like, so you don't end up doing this. Oh,
Yeah.
that's why. I guess I was doing this. Okay. Whee. You know, simple,
Yeah.
but you know, it kind of gives you the idea of what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, like I said, don't hate me if this is not how it's done, but
That's how we're doing it today.
that's how I do it.
Yeah.
Well, see, like how this
Oh yeah, it's like
nightmare of a.
yeah.
There we go.
Amazing.
With this limpy.
It's his little limpy leg, yeah.
Can you imagine it like jumping?
Yeah, I like it. Oh, no, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Um, we are probably going to have to call it there. Um, it is, it is time for, well, it's 5 o'clock over here in the UK, so it's almost dinner time for some people, myself included.
Yes.
But thank you so much, Dan, for coming in and doing this for us. I know it was a bit of a rush, but I hope you had fun.
I did. I did. Like I said, I wish I could have done a little bit more, but
Mm,
it works like this as well.
yeah,
I'm really happy with the final creature that we have.
yeah,
And I'm gonna do off screen all the necessary uh,
sure,
bits to make it fit with the rest, and in the weekend I'll probably do the animation myself, just for
yeah,
fun.
just for funsies. Yeah, why not? Cool. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to check out the Lunar Forge socials. I have the links to all of them in the chat, and there's also a mailing list that you can sign up for as well if you want to be the first to find out new news about Project Glideout and Lunar Forge stuff. So check that out. Um, and yeah, we'll be back on Monday with a portfolio review session with Emra. So I'm going to open up submissions for that uh, today, just after the stream ends. So get those portfolios sent in if you want Emra to take a look at them. Thanks again, Dan, for creating this beautiful dancing little dude. I love him.
Hello.
And we will see you all next time. So
Thank
goodbye,
you, everyone.
everybody. Bye.
Have a good night. Bye bye.